Do you see it? If you haven't been around since 2009, you might not, but don't feel bad about it. Wizards of the Coast, they're genius. I thought of a few ways of doing the intro for today's video. And I realized that none of them played out exactly the way I wanted. I had, references to Predator and Predator 2. I was thinking of like movies with a good sequel, because the point is, Wizards is evolving. They are becoming very adept at getting what they want from the masses without upsetting everybody at the same time and giving everyone a sporting chance. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me on the channel today. And this video will take a little bit of time to explain, so I hope you got your nachos and cheese. You're ready to kick back a bit. I'm going to start with the first slide and just go into a little explanation here, okay? Here I am showing you Time Walk. Beautiful, right? Look at the price tag on that thing. Unlimited. Woo! Now, when you look at this card, everyone thinks reserve list. They think extremely expensive card. They know there is value there. Anyone who sees that card and knows anything about Magic, Power 9, expensive cards. No, I didn't show the Black Lotus. I wanted to show the Time Walk because I like Amy Weber's artwork. I look at that, and so do all of you, and you know there is value. Even if you had no intention of playing with that card, you know it's valuable. Okay. Wizards of the Coast learns somewhere around 2004, 2005 that since they couldn't go back to the reserve list, they had to find a way to get people still interested in new cards and still be able to charge a good amount of money to get people's attention. But they needed that money coming in. And that's where I said the very intro, 2009. Zendikar comes out, the original Zendikar, and they did something called the Priceless Treasures. I've covered this on numerous videos, but it's a little different today because I want to bring this forward. And they didn't just put in reserve list cards. There was even things like Demonic Tutor, which were considered, they were on the reserve list for a long time. But there's a lot of old cards. Everything from Sliver Queen to a Black Lotus to Dual Lands. Anything under the sun could have been found there. I was at a store that a guy supposedly opened the Time Twister, and we didn't believe him until, a couple of days later when you started reading posts back then. And it took a while for, the information highway to travel from store to see it was real. It happened. And Zendikar sold extremely well. And no, they didn't put it like in all the reprints. They only did it in the first printing of Zendikar, okay? And in that first printing, they had the most excitement, the most hype. But it continued to sell well because people couldn't differentiate between a first printing, a second printing, a third printing. Zendikar was gone before you know it. And Wizards was left with the data to tell them that people value the gambler's chance, the premium, the ability to maybe get lucky. And that's where we have Magic. That's when Wizards knew they were onto something. Now, it was left alone for a couple of years. Just a couple, though. Because the next thing that came up was going to be Zendikar Expeditions, and that was in Battle for Zendikar. Now, when these things first came out, and here's like, one of the amazing ones, Scalding Tarns, right? We got a beautiful fetch land. When these ones came out, they were like $400 US. Now, they've slid since then. They haven't retained the same value point. And you can see here, you're looking at around $256 US, give or take. But it's held value, right? It has not gone to zero. No matter how many times they have reprinted fetch lands, it hasn't gone to zero. And they did it again. Oath of the Gatewatch, 2016, the very next year. Didn't have as good a selection. They used Wasteland, stuff like that. But it still sold well. Even Oath of the Gatewatch, which was not the best set, because it didn't have any cool Eldrazi and amazing cards in it, but it sold very well. And that's interesting. Wizards they take the data, they take the data, they add this stuff up. And they realized that they were onto something. Almost like building anew and building from scratch, brick by brick. They were building value into the secondary market cards that they could reprint if they needed, but they also knew they have a license to print. They know this is a great game people enjoy, and different variations on artwork, as long as it's difficult to get, makes some players feel very happy, shiny inside. And it really gets people going. Now we can go ahead and I can just lay out every card from Ultimate Master Box Toppers, Kaladesh Inventions, Aether Revolt. You can go and look at Zendikar Rising, where they gave us the lands inside, right? It has lost some of its luster with mass printings, but a lot of these cards still hold considerable value in the secondary market. And when you look at the newer cards I put on the thumbnail today, Hidesagu, and you've got, of course, the One Ring. All of these cards, including Mox Amber and all the other cards that are serialized, they all seem to be holding a fair amount of value. It's almost as if you are building your own reserve list, brick by brick, year by year. And no, they are not targeting the everyday player. That's not the intention of what they're doing. There are people out there who can afford to buy the higher end cards and go after the big boys. They can go out there and look for all these serialized cards. They can spend thousands of dollars, which the average player can't, the casual player. But for every 10 casual players they may lose to people being angry, they do gain some of these premium gambling players who can afford to bite into that market. And eventually some of the gambling players who are the common everyday people, they come back. They join back in. Even though they're mad for a while, they eventually filter their way back in and just, put up that thumbing fist. So what I've done is I went and I looked on the secondary market from the beginning to now to see if these sales are actually happening. Even shattered glass stuff from Brothers War. How are these premium style cards selling? And I'll be honest, they are not selling phenomenally like every day, but they are selling. And they are selling for thousands of dollars in some cases, depending on which type and when. Because the other thing that Wizards of the Coast has understood is the Timmies out there with the attention span of a gnat. They know today's society cannot focus for any long period of time without forgetting, losing interest, or just kind of going, oh yeah, that happened, I forgot. It happens. I can see it in today's society everywhere I look. These cards have been around since 2009, Priceless Treasures. We've gone through from Aether Revolt all the way through Amonkhet, Hours of Devastation. They had to take them out of Ixalan because people were so mad at them for even continuing the line. So they ended it for a while. They walked away. But now we're back at it again, and it's being accepted because the serialized cards make it more limited. These special card treatments seem to be one-ofs, at least for now. At least for now. And that drives high value into Magic the Gathering. It allows a gambler's chance for a player who wants to maybe buy some cards in the secondary market, says, I want to get all the different Hisagus from Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty. And they spend $3,000 and they go pick them up on the secondary market. But how many thousands of packs had to be opened to get them all? Right? With this thing coming up with Lord of the Rings, the One Ring, serialized 1 of 1. I've heard speculation of $500,000, $1 million. It's a one of. Do you think it'll be found the first day? No. Don't expect it to be. Because Wizards of the Coast, guys, you have to understand. They may not know exactly where it is in all their palettes, but they know which palette it's in. I guarantee that. And it'll be some back palette. It'll be the last one to go out because Willy Wonka style, they got to sell as many as they can from the chocolate factory and keep the hype up, keep people shoveling these cards out, and then at the exact opportune moment, somebody's going to find it. And everyone's going to lose their minds. They are building a secondary market for their cards and not in the way like, we're going to sell these direct to consumer. No. They want the secondary market to have value. And the more types of serialized cards they do, the more numbered cards, special card treatments. Guys, it's been a play testing ground that they are finally starting to crystallize into an image of what they want the game to look like years from now. The reserve list will be left alone, but as they go forward, they will build these cards in. And yes, they may add cards to the Kaladesh, right? To the inventions. They may add individual card frame artworks. They may expand on these things. But they don't want to just reprint it because that'll just put such negativity and disbelief in people that it would crash that new market they're trying to build. But the cards are selling, so I know it's working. If the secondary market is selling Expeditions still, years later, right? 2015 till now, we're talking 8-9 years. They're still selling for over $200. That's pretty impressive considering how many times they have reprinted fetch lands. When you take a look at that same market and you look at Hitasagu, and it sold multiple copies just last month for the red neon ink. Maybe not the other ones as much, but the red neon ink. And then you look at the Kaladesh inventions and things like the Soul Ring still command $1,200 Canadian. It did dip a bit, by the way, when they announced they are redoing some of the Kaladesh artwork frameworks, and they will take that data in, but they are still testing the ground. Remember, they're finalizing, they're creating an image of what they want the game to be, and you can see it as they build value in. I'm not saying they're going to reprint cards. I think they recognize the cards have value, which means as they build the value, they are having the license to print new special artwork card treatments, new ways of doing it, and putting that into new future sets, but they can just keep doing it infinitely. They can have new treatments forever, new serialized cards from any new edition coming up, and it will hold value because previous iterations of it hold value. It's just a continuation, and the player base won't realize how many different serialized cards there are. They won't realize it's number 10 or 20 or 100 times or 1,000 times Wizards has done it, because the attention span is short. Unless you go looking for the information, you're going to look at the current set and say, wow, we're going back to Rabia in 2028. This is amazing. Oh, look, they have serialized cards of old Arabian Night style stuff. This is amazing. And you'll buy into it with a special artwork and a serialized number. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not. I can't, because they are selling. The financial side of things right now, the market is accepting the prices of all these cards. Now, some are not that expensive. Things like a Black Vice that is from the inventions from Aether Volt. It's like $40. But it's better than $1, right? You might get the Torrential Gear Hulk in invention format. That's going to command a little bit more. Different cards will have different values attached to them. And that allows Wizards of the Coast to drive out more cards into the market with different serialization or different framework artworks at different commanding prices, which allow them to still keep the machine going. It's like winning, instead of a free lottery ticket, you win a $10 lottery ticket. Oh, I got a $10 card. Right? I want a $10 card. I want a 5-cent card. I want a $100 card. There's different values for everyone based on the price point of entry, which is why the One Ring is only going to be found in the scrumdiddlyumptious collector boxes. They want to sell as many as they can. And if you think they haven't jacked up the number that they've produced for this set, don't kid yourselves. They know exactly what they're doing. And it's genius. It's so great that I have to applaud them for the style in which they're doing it. At first I thought, when I was doing this video, it's going to be gibberish. I'm like, no, this isn't going to work out for them. What do they think they're doing? The market's going to know. The market does know. They do. But they're accepting it because they're purchasing them at this price. And you don't just check eBay. You check local stores. You check TCG Player, Card Market, Card Kingdom. You look at everywhere you can to find any sales data you can, because eBay can be unreliable with shell bidding and stuff. You got to be careful. You have to look at months and months worth and see if things kind of added up to see if there's any sales. And then cross-reference those to other sites, to other stores you deal with. And you'll see there's a pattern. And the pattern is acceptance. That's where you're at. And it is so great. And it starts all the way back in 2009 with the Priceless Treasures being bought on the secondary market and inserted into Zendikar packs. When Wizards started to see the growth of the reserve list market, they knew it was an untapped avenue that they couldn't get into with angering too many players. So instead, they're creating their own market with their own space. And I've done videos in the past about replacing the reserve list, having cards come up that are similar. They will still take that vein. They have so many different ways of moving the checkerboard and recreating a new checkerboard for us to play on, that it will always seem fresh and new, because people just can't pay attention long enough. And that is the thing that probably won't change, that will allow this market to continue the way it is. And as long as they don't show too much duplication in any one card frame artwork, too much exploitation of the market by oversaturating with serialized cards. Like, they've ruined things like this before. When they get too greedy and they jump in. We all know the greed factor. The greed monster that is Wizards and Hasbro is insatiable. But if they play it right, the market will continue to accept it. They will continue to play that fine line between the gambler's premium for those who can afford to really dive in there and hope to get a card and are willing to spend thousands of dollars just to see if they can open that pack, the addictive nature of people, right? Versus the casual player who might just get lucky opening one pack and say, oh, I got lucky, man. I got a $100 card. It's amazing. And that just spurs them on to continue into this game decades later. Guys, I can't wait to see the comments section on a video like this, to see what you guys are thinking. Think of all the versions they've done, even box topper cards. It's a different type. It's a different way of grabbing people in. Very interesting stuff. I find this stuff fascinating to me because you can see it unfold in the market. But thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for allowing me to entertain you today. If you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe button. Join in the conversation every day. I want to see what you guys think in the comments section about how this could play out in the future. I know most of you are going to say that they're going to ruin it. Mox, man, they're going to ruin this. They always ruin it. They probably will. They probably will, but maybe there's always a chance that they really are learning and evolving and are going to take the line with this that they know is a continuous stream of income. Funny stuff, guys. All right. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out in the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Or will I? Hey, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons on the channel. Guys, it is great to have such a fantastic crowd behind the channel supporting me each and every day. So a special thank you to each and every one of you. I'll see you on the live stream. This is just a comment because somebody put it in the video yesterday when I talked about justifying the cost. The idea that the One Ring, serialized 1 of 1, somehow gets printed more than once or 2 or 3 times, or gets destroyed somehow, destroy the One Ring. Imagine the horrible things that could happen to that card. Just blows my mind. It made me laugh so hard I snorted coffee out of my nose and mouth. I was in pain. It was hilarious though. I just got to give you props, guys. Some of your comments are so fantastic. It just makes my day. And for you guys who hang out here at the end credits, you know what I'm talking about. We have these little fun discussions like this, but it is amazing some of the things you guys think of that I miss. I love it. I love it, guys. So thanks a lot. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for hanging out with me every day. It's amazing. Have a great one. Enjoy the day. The One Ring. It's got to be destroyed. Value. A lot of value. Wizards is building it.